Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nations Organization's main fan page, where I do a daily live stream around the card was drawn in the morning. Whoops. Almost knocked my mic off the table. The card draw from the morning, the oracle cards that I'm using right now. And the cards are actually helps us to understand an energy that's important, that's flowing today. But more importantly, it sparks a spiritual conversation here. And we've been having some pretty good conversations around these cards this past week. So George is with me, our now 7-month-old puppy, and he is awake, and because usually he's sleeping. So you might hear him in the background, just to let you know. All right, I'm going to take my phone and I am going to like and share the live stream before we get rolling with the card information. And I'm just going to share it over to my news feed so that my friends know that I'm live streaming. It doesn't take long. And asking them to please join. There we go. There. And then we'll post that. Simple. Pretty darn easy. And I'd invite you to do the same, whether you're here with me in the live chat or whether you're watching the video, the recorded video, I should say. It helps us to reach more people, number one. And for those people who are searching for spiritual information, it's just a little bit easier for them to find us because we end up in the newsfeed a little bit more often. You know that Facebook, I call it that elusive creature. We know that it likes and it likes comments and it likes shares, and you know how much information comes into Facebook. You know, we're inundated by it, right? And so when there's something posted, it's so easily for it to get buried under a whole bunch of other stuff. So the more people who share and like, the more often we end up in the newsfeed. So thank you a lot for doing that for us. Let's see. I'm going to check out the chat. I see Stephanie, our social media manager, is on top of it. She's doing some listings in the chat, listing classes that are coming up and shows, other live stream shows that are coming up this week. Scrolling up. That's a lot. We got a lot going on this week. We really do. Yeah. All right. So Stephanie is sharing with Rob Kendall. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Rob. And Rochelle is here. Greetings to you. Is it sunny there? It's sunny here too. It's about 23 degrees or so. Almost a tropical heat wave compared to what we've been having. And Julie is here too. Hello, Julie. Good to have you here as always. And Rochelle, thank you for sharing. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And Tina's here too. Hello, Tina. And and Stephanie's thanking Rochelle too. There we go. Well, today is Monday, February 18th. February 18th. And it's a busy Monday. I was returning telephone calls and messages, both text and email messages, most of the morning. And, you know, Mondays and Thursdays are kind of rough days for Mom because it's her bath days. And it took about half hour, 45 minutes longer than usual today. So it kind of pushed everything back. But, you know, sometimes you just have to slow down. And let me tell you, there is absolutely no hurrying a 99-year-old, or soon to be, she is 99. She'll be 100 in June. So you know, we just kind of take it at her pace, and she sets the pace in the mornings. Oh my gosh. And so, and I'm laughing because, you know, this triple fire is go, 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 go. And then when it comes to mom, it's like, okay, we got to like slow down. And that's what we do in the mornings. She sets the pace. Yeah. So the other thing that's going on is really working on the magazine, Star Nations magazine. We're just at the very, very beginnings of the creation of the March issue. The contributing writers are all working on their articles to be submitted to me by the 28th and edited by the 24th. so they're diligent and working on their articles so that they can get them in on time. And right now I'm working on the pieces that are coming together to get our magazine out to about 10,000 possible readers. And it's very exciting. It really is. But on the back side of it, there's all these bits and pieces that have to get done. And so I was also working on that this morning. So we're starting out a really, really busy week. We gave you the information about the shows that are coming up, starting tonight, actually. And did you hear George? Yeah, he's getting so tall. Getting so tall. He's 59 pounds, the last weigh-in. Big boy. So anyway, the week is going to be pretty busy here at Star Nations. We got lots of things going on for you guys, and I noticed that we have quite a few new people joining the academy. It's a closed group, right? And that's only so that we can keep track of the membership, right? Who's posting what kind of stuff. And so if you haven't joined the academy yet, just go ahead and go there and ask to join. And Julie Shumway Hill, who is our manager for the Star Nations Academy, she or I will get you all set up in the closed group. We have a class coming up. So it's a free mini class. And we offer that to the closed group as a thank you. A catchy McGwitch, a big thank you to all the support that you give to us through the academy, through the classes that you come to, the magazine that you purchase and read, and supporting all of the live stream shows. So it's a little bit of a thank you coming back our way. And today is the third Monday, so that also means that here on the, whoops, that was me touching a button. Hopefully she's not turned on. That's Siri. It's the third Monday, and on the third Monday, I do a giveaway here. And that is one of the past issues of the Star Nations magazine. So before the end of the our show here, we'll let you know who won that back issue. I order an issue every month, and so I have 5 years of back issues. I know, crazy, right? And so instead of having them just collect dust, I thought we'd share them. So, all right, the card for today. I should probably show this because there's some people who might not know the deck that we're currently using. We just started using this new deck on February 1st. It's called the Druid Animal Oracle, and it's by Philip and Stephanie Cargome, illustrated by Bill Worthington. And it was copyrighted in 1996. And it comes out of the UK. It's obviously druidry. And Philip Cargome is a mentor for Mervyn Kelly. And Mervyn Kelly is one of our live stream show hosts. His show is actually going to be on tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern from Star to Stone. And Mervyn gifted me this deck last month. Maybe it was I think it was toward the end of December, beginning of January is when I received it. It takes a while for a package to come across the ocean, I guess. It's all that custom stuff that it's got to go through. But I'm learning a great deal about Druidry. I knew about this much before we got started, and so it's very interesting to me. I don't know how you guys are finding the deck, but getting the information coming from another perspective, different from my Native American perspective, right? It kind of opens up the possibilities and understanding. And it's not about trying to change somebody's belief system. It's just about adding to or seeing the information from like across the room, right? And so it really does bring up some really interesting conversation, that's for sure. And so today, I want to make sure I pronounce this right. What I like about this card deck is that they give the English word for the animal, but they also give the Gaelic word and also the pronunciation of it. So it's not like I can speak Gaelic, and I try my best at the pronunciation. And so today's card, I just want to make sure that I say it correctly in Gaelic, or as correctly as possible. So this is the card that came today. And we only have one card today. And it's bear. Bear. And in Gaelic, it's arsht. I think that's how they say it. ARSHT, arsht. Arsht. And the way they spell it is ART, right? And so the ARSHT is the phonetic, but it looks like the word art for us who speak American English. Yeah, the bear. And so, getting this, we haven't had this card yet. And so after yesterday, we had the fire dragon, right, again. And we also had otter again. So today, when we get this new energy through the cards, is letting me know, or that my understanding is that we achieved the understanding of the fire dragon yesterday. Otter helped us to understand it in a deeper way, in a more, another perspective, right? Which is kind of cool. I liked it. So this one, bear, is coming out of a cave. Coming out of the cave, and we can see at least 3 of his paws, 3 of his legs on the ground, right? And we'll start at the top. And we see that it's a night sky. Let's see if I can get it close enough to the camera here and get it in focus. Get it to focus. And we have some trees in the background. They look like pine trees, maybe. Snow on the ground. Yeah, and he's stepping on something, right? The first time I looked at it, it said, whoa, he's stepping on a drum beater, a drumstick. It's got some etchings in the stones. It looks like maybe some bones on the ground. And a crown in the snow. A brown bear. Yeah, it's a big guy, big bear. So, what do we know about bear before we read about coming from the author, Philip? What do we know about bear? Here, Rochelle is saying something here. She says, I like the way you share all your decks. Yeah, I do too. They're fun, really they are. And it's one way to be able to connect with spirit, right? With our spiritual teams. There's many ways, and there's many different kind of decks of cards out there, that's for sure. But it's kind of like a bridge or a link between us and spirit. We don't necessarily need the cards to have a connection to our spiritual team, to get the information that they're giving to us. It's not necessary. It's just like it's not necessary to have a pendulum, but it helps us to strengthen our skills of intuition. It helps us to have validation maybe to some of the things that are going on in our life. But it's that connection, and really it's kind of like strengthening a muscle and with your intuition. Yeah. And Stephanie's adding some information in the comments about bear. Rob is saying the baddest of all is a polar bear. They are the only species that will predate humans. Yeah, actually, there's a bunch of information coming from actually out of Russia, of all places, right? That are giving us some information about their bears, and you're right, they're thousands and thousands of years old, and there's depictions of bear in all kinds of caves all over the world. And when they go in to do the carbon dating, many of those drawings done by our ancestors, by early humans, are thousands of years old, and the bear were already here before us. Yeah. They found bones and that sort of thing, and doing the dating, right, of how old those bones are, carbon dating. It's fascinating. And so because of that, I think our connection, our modern day connection to bear, when it comes to understanding from our belief systems where bear is present. In my world, bear is a clan, and as a clan, they have, and every clan does have certain responsibilities to the nation as a whole, right? And so bear in the Ho-Chunk Nation has to do with protection and peacekeeping. Yes, peacekeeping. Where when the nation is getting together, and they do, I think it's on a quarterly basis, where the General Council, which is all of the tribal members, right? They get together and they listen to updates from their elected officials, from the tribal council, and from the chair of the tribal council, and so they get updates, right, on the government. And when there's certain things that are up for a vote, the general council, the tribal members, do have input. They weigh in, and you can actually speak your piece, right? Oh my gosh. In those tribal councils, sometimes it gets kind of heated, the discussion. And there have been times where it gets pretty emotional, and people start getting angry, and it starts to escalate, right? There's been times when, and it's usually an elder that asks for the Bear Clan to step forward, and the Bear Clan members then they get between. They just stand there. They stand between the people who are having the altercation, the verbal altercation, before it turns into a physical one. And so the Bear Clan members are the peacekeepers, and so they kind of stand between and try to get things to calm down, and that everybody's voice is respected. And so you get to have your say. You don't have to necessarily agree with them, but at least everybody has their say, right? And so that's how I'm used to interacting with the bear clan, with a bear. My husband did used to hunt bear. He went on a couple of bear hunts, and I actually have down in my office because there's nowhere else to put it. Um, the bear skin that he of his very first bear, and I also have I think 3 of the claws from that first bear. I want to say 3. And so, the connection between humans and bears goes really far away. We've been together for a long time. And so, what I know about bear is that it can be a protector. It can be a fierce protector. And when we talk about bear, and any kind of bear, because there's many different species, is that the rule of thumb is you never get between a bear cub and the mother. When you're walking out in the woods, and it's true that they're more afraid of us than we are of them, is that you never get between the babies and its mommy. Yeah. Because she's a fierce protector. Yeah. Now, I've never really seen one in the wild. At any close proximity. I've seen one crossing a road, and it was quite a ways ahead. But it wasn't anything like the wolf sightings that I've had, that's for sure. And so with the bear, we have a very fierce protector, right? Yeah. And it's in the constellations, right? Yeah, the big bear and the little bear. Yeah. That bear sign up there in the stars. But Stephanie's saying, currently on Netflix, The Bear Family and Me. Oh, really? Now that's something to watch. All right. I'm just going to kind of scroll through. Tina says, dreamer medicine eats bear roots after hibernation. Oh. And I forget, Tina, which nation does that come from? Which tribal nation? I know I should know this. Lakota, I think. Was it Osheti Sakoi? The Sioux Nation? I want to make sure I get the right one. Yeah, and I want to bounce back to Rob's comment about the polar bear. And they do say that the polar bear is probably the fiercest. It is definitely an apex predator, and a polar bear will actually that and a grizzly will actually hunt human. Yeah, and they're very smart. They're very, very smart. And so, we also know with the polar bear that, they're going extinct, right? And I think we've all seen those pictures on the internet about the bear and their home. The glaciers, and they're melting, right? And so they're also starving because much of their food source has gone south or to other colder climates, right? And so, and so that and we did it to them, right? Yeah. Thank you, Tina Plains. Thank you. And Valerie says, I'm here. Yay, Valerie. I'm so glad you're here. Rob is saying bears steal picnic baskets. Boo-boo. It's true. How many people watched Yogi Bear, as a kid, right? And sometimes that was our very first connection to bear as children, especially if you lived in a city, right? Other than maybe the zoo. Yeah. We also know that, that almost every country has a way of seeing value about the bear. And in some ways, here in the United States, we do see the bear as the value in its spirituality, right? Not everybody, but a good many of us do. Um, and in Asia, they see the bear as a medicinal purpose, right? Their body parts for the use of medicine. Um, yeah. I was just thinking there was a story about my Misho, my grandfather, in northern Wisconsin, when he was a young man, like in his 30s, right? They were just starting out their family. And he was out picking berries. And he said he was picking in a pretty huge clump of blackberries. And and some of those bushes can get kind of big and tall, right? And so and so he said that he was picking the berries, and he heard this movement, and he realized just on the other side of this huge blackberry bush grove, it was huge. He said was a black bear eating at the same time. And he said that he didn't stick around. He said, I tried to be as quiet as I could and back my way out and give him the blackberry bush, because he said, as much as I wanted those blackberries, the bear was going to want it more. And so he said he just kind of slowly backed away and left. Yeah. How scary would that be, though, huh? Yeah. Rochelle says, loved Yogi Bear. I know. So did I. And actually, Boo Boo is probably cuter, though, right? Don't you think? Tina says, from what I know, the bear dreams about medicines and have a vision quest from Bear Helper, get medicines from Grandmother Earth. Yeah, yeah. Um, hmm. Yeah, and there's that subtle difference between the nations, isn't it? Because here, yeah, we see bear differently. We see that bear clan, that bear, yeah, will lead us to food sources, but has more to do with protection. And so if you dream about bear, and bear comes to you, bringing bear medicine to you, it really is about protection and it's fierceness, right? It's strength, it's inner strength. Yeah. And the hibernation in the wintertime, they really do gather food a lot. They really try to eat as much as possible those last few warm months of the year into October. And once it starts getting really cold, they go to sleep. Yeah. And the females have their babies in the wintertime, so that in the spring, when it's warm enough and they venture out, they wake up and they venture out, their babies are old enough to kind of walk on their own, because otherwise they're very little when they're first born. Yeah. In that hibernation time, right? And we talk about that, bear being in the month of January. Yeah, and that going into the cave, right? Going in to be quiet, to rest. Yeah. And actually, I'm gonna say this out loud. There's a lot of people who have a fear about bears. Yeah. Tina's also saying, I'm talking from the native ancestors, what they know. I know. I realize that. Yeah, and you're talking about the plains, and the people coming from the plains across the Mississippi. Um, you know, yeah, you can tell that there's the slight variations, and one's not better than the other. It's just different, is all. And Anne says, bear card this time of the year, art and creativity. And bears will have cubs soon creating. So maybe the bearer of birth and creativity of rebirth and spring. Possibility. We're going to take a look at what the author has to say from their perspective, right? And Rochelle says we should all sleep during the winter. Well, actually, we kind of do, don't we? We find ourselves getting more sleep time. I mean, if we are in sync with the months and the sun and the moon, right? Is that the nights are longer. And with the invention of electricity is when it started changing how humans, that's two-leggeds, how much time we spend awake. Yeah. There's an old saying about going to bed with the birds. When we were kids, that's what we did. My parents, mom always made sure we were in bed by 7, no matter if it was light outside or not. And so, yeah, I think we were the only kids in our neighborhood that did that. But we have the ability to sleep a little bit longer. Our body wants to. A lot of times we just push past that, though, don't we? And Rob is saying putting frozen peas in whole cut in ice. What? Don't tell me that's lyrics, right? Is that lyrics or is that coming from Yogi Bear? Anne says, I've been hibernating too. I have to do this every year just to reflect, rest, heal myself. My body and soul needs it. Yeah, and we do feel better when we're more in sync with nature, don't we? I did an article years ago about this. It was, I think, titled something about Kairos and Chronos time. Chronos time is the calendar and the clock, that kind of counting of time, right? Kairos time is nature. I always found it fascinating that that by the calendar, seemingly by the calendar, is when we celebrate spring and winter, summer, the change of the seasons, right? The way I grew up and the way that I was taught by my Misho is that we watch nature. Nature tells us when it's spring or when it's winter or when it's fall. It might not match up with the calendar. Yeah. And so many times the ceremonies that were held weren't held exactly like on the 21st, right? September 21st, December 21st, April 21st, those kinds of calendar dates. And so when we're in sync with Kairos time, that's kind of where we get the term about Indian time, Hawaiian time, manana, is because we're more in sync with nature and we do things not connected to an actual clock. Yeah. Has anybody ever done that? I haven't worn a watch since 1998. And, and I'm not late too often. I'm not saying I'm never late, but I'm very, very seldom am I late. And Tina's saying what natives know is just what Anne said. Then spring brings renewal. Exactly. Yep. Certainly does. And Rob says how to hunt bear, cut a hole into the ice in front of the cave in which he's hibernating. Add frozen peas. Why? Wait for the bear to come out and take. Oh my gosh. Okay. And then kick him in the hole, in the ice hole. I don't think so. So I'm going to show the card again. All right. So with this card, the thing about the hibernation that is kind of coming up a few times, obviously he's coming out of the cave. He's not going into the cave. He's coming out. Yeah. Now, let's see what the author has to say. Philip Cargome, he writes that bear, primal power, sovereignty, intuition married with instinct. That's interesting. Intuition married to instinct. He says that, I'm going to show you the card as I read this piece. He says that the card shows a bear standing by a cave entrance with a mace at its feet. M-A-C-E, mace. Such a mace was found by archaeologists near Stonehenge. It is midwinter, the time of the light of Arthur, at the winter solstice. A crown lies on the foreground, and we see the pole star shining brightly above the constellation of the plow, also known as the Great Bear or Arthur's Plow. All right, so they're talking about the North Star and the Big Dipper. The polar star and the Big Dipper, or the pole star, I'm sorry, and the Arthur's Plow, which is the Big Dipper. Arsht connects you with the very deepest of your ancestral roots. Here at this level, you are in touch with the primal mother, the bear goddess, who will defend you fiercely from all danger. You are connected also with the bear god, Artos, that mighty warrior Arthur, and the guiding pole star of the Great Bear. Your intuition will never fail you. If you will listen to it in the if you will listen to it in the still darkness of the night. Working with the bear gives you the opportunity to become a spiritual warrior, like Arthur. You can find the way to come into your power by marrying your strength with your intuition. Integrating your primal power with your intuition means uniting your star power with your animal power, and both are symbolized by Arsht, the bear. Interesting, isn't it? Star power and your animal power. Primal. Yeah. Sometimes my sisters are having another conversation. So it's connecting you with the very deepest of your ancestral roots. At this level, you are touched by the primal mother. Doesn't that sound, to me, that's comforting. It feels comforting to be touched by the primal mother. Let's read that one. Sorry about that. Okay. Now, the card did not come to us in the reverse, but I'm finding that there's information in the reverse part of the card that could be helpful to understand the card at another level. Okay, so here he writes, the bear card gives you a clear warning that you must take care not to be overwhelmed by the ferocious mother, by the berserk warrior, by forces of anger and primal ferocity that, untempered with the human qualities of compassion and reason, can damage not only your life, but those lives around you. Art brings a strong presence and great reserve of power. With the perseverance, you will be able to integrate your spiritual intuitive qualities with your primal instinctive qualities. Okay, so there's a phrase here that many may not be familiar with, and that's the berserk warrior. In modern day, when we hear the word berserk, we think of somebody who is out of control, right? So upset they don't know what they're doing, and they're creating quite a havoc. You know, they sometimes they hurt someone else without even knowing it. That's how angry they are, right? But the word berserk actually comes from Scotland. Yeah, there was a warrior group that were touched by the gods, to give them extra perception. And they say that they moved at the speed of light, that they were very fast, a blur almost, right? And that their eyes would change color. They would change to like an ice blue. Yeah, and that they had longevity. They could live for a really long time and could be healthy. They were warriors, but they were touched by the gods. Berserk. And it's true, you know, that's where because what they call it, bloodlust. That was it, bloodlust. That that when they went into a battle, that, you know, they fought so fiercely, you know, that it was single-mindedness, and everything else dropped away. Yeah, and so, you know, in the earlier form of this word or this meaning, was actually, there was some awe to it. There was almost, you know, and I don't want to say worship. No, it's not that. They wanted to have a berserker on in their ranks, because that meant that they were going to win a lot, right? So they were valuable, is what I'm trying to say. And in more modern times, we've taken that word and it means the complete opposite. Complete opposite. Yeah. Rob is saying, I read somewhere that certain Native American tribes referred to whites as the beat people, or the bear people. I don't know. I hadn't heard that one. And Rob says berserkers would fight in a trance state. Yeah. Yeah. They were, that's where they get this term, that they were literally touched by the gods. Yeah. And we're talking about, some of this is coming out of the Viking, the Nordic traditions, beliefs. Yeah. Very interesting. Berserker. All right. So there's also another piece in here that I thought was really fascinating. It says the importance of bear in the Druid tradition is shown by the fact that Arthur is symbolically attributed in Druid ceremony and teaching to the pole star above the constellation of the Great Bear, sometimes known in Celtic stories as Arthur's Plough. When all is dark to us, when the time of the longest night is upon us, at the winter solstice, we turn to Arthur, the pole star, as our only guide. Arthur then becomes our intuition, our only guide when our reason and senses cannot help us. For this reason, the winter solstice is also known as Alban or Thuian, the light of Arthur. Now, I'd never heard of that before, the light of Arthur. In this way, primal shamanism from the time of earliest man connects with the later Christian-influenced Druidry of the Arthurian mysteries through the image of the bear, who has become both star and animal. Yeah. And here, here it says, due to the extraordinary ferocity of the Caledonian bear, as it was called, was a valuable export to Rome. Certainly, the ferocious bear was invoked before going into battle. The bear skins often being worn. Identifying with bear power, the warriors went berserk. Yeah, so that's another way of looking at that word, berserk. It was actually connected to the power and the ferocity of the bear. Interesting. So that's why we see a crown on the ground there in the foreground. And the mace, which is a battle tool, a war tool. But what does that mean for us today, right? Why did we get this particular card today? And I think Anne, I want to scroll down a little bit and see Anne's, yeah, where she says, I've been hibernating too. I've had to do this every year just to reflect, rest, heal myself, and my body and soul needs it. And there was another one I thought. Yeah, here it is. Bear card this time of year, art, creativity. The bears will be having cubs soon, creating. So maybe the forebears of birth and creativity, of rebirth and spring. Well, it certainly has to do with him, with the bear coming out of the cave, right? He's fully awake. Coming out of the darkness into the light. You know, spent all that time resting, rejuvenation. You know, and the fact that the words that are associated here are primal power, sovereignty, intuition married to instinct. So we could say that our intuition that comes to us through our soul, right? Our spirit. And that we're a spiritual being having a physical experience. And we're not separate from nature here. We're not separate from Grandmother Earth. That all our relatives include all the animals and all the plants, all the stones. Everything that's here, that was created here on Earth, is our relative. We're not separate from it. And so there's an aspect of us that are, lack of a better word, animalistic, that we do have our very base nature when we're connected to Grandmother Earth, right? That when you notice that when you go out for a hike or a walk, and if you're really, really present with it, is that your senses are heightened. You hear what's going on around you, right? You sense things that you don't quite see yet. When you're out in the woods, it's different than when you're walking down a concrete sidewalk. And yet our basic instinct is still there even when we're walking down the sidewalk, right? So this is about the balancing our spirit with our physical nature. that we're both. And in that is our sovereignty within that. Yeah. That primal power. Because when we separate ourselves out from nature and we put ourselves above it, or what is that called? Having dominion, right? Yeah. When we're no more valuable than the tree or the stone or the bear, because we're all having an experience here. That's when when we don't hold ourselves separate. You know, years and years ago, I was just a little girl. My family was very big into hunting, and it wasn't a sports hunting. It was putting food on the table hunting, right? And so, you know, giving tobacco before we went hunting. When you took the life of a deer, you did another tobacco giving, and you know, we're honoring that life force, right? That was going to live on through us. But one of the things that we were taught when we were hunting, because we didn't carry a rifle right away, we did a lot of walking, a lot of walking, and getting used to feeling the directions, what direction you're walking in, and following direction was really important too. But listening to the woods around you, and listening for the jays, the blue jays that were calling, or the crows that were calling, or the squirrel that's chattering, because they were telling everybody that there's a two-legged in the woods. There's somebody coming, right? And so they were talking to each other about us being in the woods. But if you're out there often enough and they get used to you being there, it's like, that's just Neshi. She's walking through. She's not a very good hunter anyway, you know, that kind of thing. And we used to tease about that. Yeah. Or we'd fall asleep. We'd be on stand, right? And we talk and laugh about it now, but we certainly didn't then. But, you know, late in the afternoon, and you're all bundled up to be out in the cold, and you're sitting, maybe you're back up against a tree and the sun's on you, you get a little warm, and you've been up since 4 a.m. and you fall asleep, right? Until the squirrel wakes you up to let you know that somebody's in the woods. And and so that's the connection, right? That's a connection that we already know about, but we need to be reminded of it every once in a while. Yeah. So with that, so why this card today, right? Why the bear? Why Arsht today? And I think it's about reminding us that we are spirit having a physical experience. But when we balance that experience with being a two-legged, having this physical experience, that we're able to have more connection to our intuition. It's another way of saying being grounded, I suppose. Yeah, we could say that. We could say that. That when we're balanced between our spirit self and our physical self, that we have more access to our intuition in the physical body, in the physical experience. Yeah. It's another way of looking at it. It's another way of understanding what that connection is, right? It's another way of asking, if you're grounded today, right? Yeah, Rob, I agree with you. I agree with you. I think it's a great card today. It certainly is another way of experiencing the spirit of bear or bear medicine, right? As Tina was sharing, from the Native American point of view, um, is that it's slightly different. It's just another perspective. It's almost like having our relative, the bear, in this room with us, right? And the bear is in the middle, and I see it from one direction because I'm sitting in that part of the room. But if I go and go to the opposite side of the room and sit there to have a conversation with bear or to look at bear, I see that bear differently than the first position I was in. It doesn't make that first position wrong or the second one wrong. It just makes it different because we're experiencing it differently, you know. And that's what I love about these conversations, is because we're not trying to change anybody's point of view or belief system, but is to be able to look at it, maybe experience it from a different point, a different perspective. Yeah. Yeah. And I like it. That to me is a great conversation. It's a great conversation. Yeah. Is to be able to share that, right? So the next time that you're outside, out in the woods, taking a hike, a walk, or even if you're in town and you're walking out on the sidewalk, right? Is if you usually wear earbuds and listening to music, is just to take them off for a little bit and tune into the sounds that are coming around you from nature. What bird is chirping? Do you see the squirrels? Notice the change in the wind. And why? Is because you're sensing it through your animal body, your physical body. Yeah. And just noticing it. Making that connection. That's our homework for today, right? Our homework for today. All right. Well, got to look at the time here. Just got a couple minutes. So, whatever was shared today with Bear or Arsht, is if it resonated with you, is just to hold it close and see how the energy sense, feel, see how the energy unfolds around you today, and where this information is useful or helpful, right? And if it didn't resonate, don't worry about it. You can just let it lie. There's always tomorrow, right? The next card, information. Yeah. And so, if you could join us this evening at 9 p.m. Eastern for the Tarot Journey with Julie Hedges, that would be grand. It's all about love tonight. And Julie is going to be sharing those insights coming through the Tarot and through astrology. And she's also doing card draw toward the end of her show. I would say probably the last 20 minutes or so of her show, she'll be drawing cards. So if you'd like to join her for that, I don't know which deck she's using tonight, but it will be a tarot deck, I'm sure. So join us tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, and her show is at the Tarot Journey. Okay. All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your day, your Monday, and Rob, you cracked me up. This is what he's writing. I might, Rabbit. I might. Rascally Rabbit. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Okay. And we'll see you back here at 3 p.m. Eastern for tomorrow's daily live stream and group card draw. All right. Bama Mina. That's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. I love you guys.